What is a seemingly harmless parenting mistake that will majorly duck up a child later in life? Being overprotective as a parent. Or just not listening to your children. To tag on to that, never treating your children as adults. My girlfriend is 23, and despite being entirely independent of her family, her mom treats her like a child still. As in too immature to make her own decisions, inferior to her / not equal. She was recently told to learn her place invalid in feelings, emotions, etc. This invalidates her self-worth, her opinions, her views and stances, etc. It's wildly damaging and extremely toxic. She can't hold an adult conversation with her adult daughter, and it's extremely frustrating. Never showing up for events. I remember my parents didn't come to most of my chorus concerts. It really sucked to see my classmates' families cheer them on while my parents were absent. I brought home one of my chorus program papers to show my parents, and I'd found it in the trash the next day. I was sad because I wanted to keep it, but seeing it in the trash, I didn't want it anymore. Edit. I love my parents and I don't blame them for not showing up. They are small business owners, and it was hard for them to find people who could work for them. Whenever I had concerts or anything, it still hurt though. Also, the replies to this are very sad. I'm sorry that a lot of you guys went through similar experiences. Second edit. Also, my mom is a clean freak. She'll discard or move any stray papers laying around. She probably didn't think much of it. She might not have even realized what it was. She can't read English that well. It's her third language. After I told her, she apologized to me, so it's okay. I thought I should add that my little sister and grandma would come to them, but my relationship with my grandma isn't great. It's just not the same as having your parents there, if that makes sense. I found that when my parents teased me about stuff I was clearly uncomfortable with, it made me tell them less later in life. I have a good relationship with my parents, but I don't tell them lots about my life because it's easier if they don't know / tease about it. Same for me. It was usually mild stuff like Kmku has a crush on a girl or something like that, but I hated the attention and it made me uncomfortable. Later in my 20s, when I met my wife, she couldn't understand why I was so secretive. I'm pretty sure it's from that. I just stopped telling people things and still don't tell my parents everything that's going on in my life. I love them of course, and have a great relationship with my parents, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that teasing messed me up. Edit. Thank you for the gold. Not following through with your promises. If you told your child you were buying ice cream tomorrow in the hopes that they'd forget, and the next day, when they ask you, tell them no, they'll see you as unreliable. Ice cream is just the first thing that came to my mind. I'm sure someone else can explain better what I'm trying to say here without sounding so ridiculous. Mine is an extreme case, but my mom left me when I was around 3 and started a new family shortly after. My entire childhood was filled with I'll do's, and she never would. She was most famous for I'll pick you up tomorrow or I'll be there in X minutes and just never show. She did this on my 5th birthday. I remember it so vividly. My dad got me up before dark. He got me all dressed, did my hair, and took cute pictures with a little mermaid doll she had brought by a few days earlier. I was so excited. Then I went and sat on the front steps as the sun was coming up. I sat there all day long. I didn't want to move because I didn't want to miss her coming down the long driveway. Finally, my dad's girlfriend told me it was nap time. 2 p.m. I said I couldn't take a nap BC mom might come while I'm sleeping. The way she told me, honey, I'm sorry but I don't think she's coming today, just broke me. I still went and sat back on those steps. She never came. I still trust no one. I'll never forget that day. I worry I'll never be right after years of her doing things like that. It was like a moment ingrained in my head as when my heart broke and was never the same. Always do your best to do what you say for your kids. Edit. Thanks for the nice thoughts and silver and gold. In a weird way I feel a bit better. I never really talk with anyone about this but my husband, so it's cathartic to get it out. Thanks for listening. Best wishes to anyone else who's had to deal with this stuff. It's just hard. Words can't really express what it does to a person. Hopefully we can all find some peace one day. Edit again. Really thanks so much for all the support. It means a lot. I've spent my whole life feeling like something was wrong with me. I'm so sad so many others have had to go through this, but it helps in a way to know that it wasn't just me. I've known logically for years my mother is a narcissist and no kid should have to deal with these things, but it's somehow easier to identify with other stories when knowing how wrong it is. Growing up I never met anyone who experienced what I did, so in a odd way it helps to know I'm not alone, although I really wish no one else would have had to deal with a parent like this. I'm terribly sorry if you're one of the many others who has had these experiences. Love to all of you. Please take extra thought and care for your little ones if they are dealing with this. They need so much love and understanding. Thanks again for all the kind wishes. Never telling your child that you were wrong and that you're sorry just never once occurred. My father never once said I'm sorry to me. He was human. There were plenty of times he should have. My kids have heard from me plenty. Once my brother was sent to his room by my dad after they got into an argument about something stupid. I used Google to prove my brother right and we both were grounded for being disrespectful until he found out we were actually right. He never ungrounded us until the week was over and only told me he was wrong. Moral of the story: being right is disrespectful. I feel like most of these responses fall under seemingly harmful. A seemingly harmless mistake is rewarding your child with something when they do something they already enjoy. Take, for example, reading. If a child just enjoys reading, let the child read without giving any reward. Once you start rewarding the child for that act, their intrinsic motivation gets replaced. It's called the over-justification effect. I was a kid who loved to read, still do, and whenever we participated in a program that rewarded reading hours, like the library summer program where you got raffle tickets and could win stuff like baseball and museum tickets, I felt like the most glorious scammer. Joke's on you, Pizza Hut, I would have done all that reading anyway. Suckers. In a different vein of thought, making finances a taboo subject. Financial illiteracy can be devastating once entering adulthood. Want to keep your children from making your own money mistakes? Don't be too proud to teach them what those mistakes were. Edit. OMG, I've never been gifted gold. Thank you, stranger. And to clarify, I don't mean robbing your children of their innocence by putting the weight of your debt on them at an early age, but rather teaching them how to properly budget their money as they earn it, how to build savings, what credit is, and how to responsibly manage it. Credit utilization, the danger of revolving balances, not using credit as an emergency fund. Teach them about predatory interest rates and the true cost of a loan. Set realistic expectations for costs of living, etc. On the same note, don't make your children feel like they're the source of all your financial woes. Talking about finances and complaining about finances are very different things. Edit. Thanks for the gold, kind stranger. I never knew my childhood traumas would get me here. Mocking them. Laughing at them. Adults do it to each other all the time, but kids who haven't been immersed in the background cruelty of our culture for years don't understand that it's just the language of the land, and not that they themselves are particularly unworthy of respect. I got laughed at and mocked a few times as a kid, and that shit hurts a lot. There was one time I was trying to help a friend at their birthday by taking their presents to them, but all the adults and my parents thought I was being selfish and wanted them for myself, and joked and laughed at me and just ignored me explaining myself and carried on. I think that hurt my self-esteem a lot in the long run. The saddest part of this question is that my mom had done so many things that everyone is saying is bad, not hugging, praising, telling me to suck it up, etc. So let me give one that I feel would have helped me out growing up. Do not be afraid to admit when you are wrong or when you make mistakes to your child. My parents would go out of their way to justify any mistake they made and make it seem as if they were right no matter what the situation was. Gave me a pretty messed up view of right and wrong, as well as learning from mistakes, but was fixed by my grandma. It's a long story that I don't want to get into right now. Edit. Wow, 11k and silver on my first ever comment, and it pertains to my shitty childhood. Tie. But on a serious note, I want to reiterate the importance of not only advice, but the consequences of not taking said advice. My parents never congratulated me on good grades, doing the right thing, etc. They would only say that's what you're supposed to do, or you better keep it up, and threaten me if I didn't live up to their expectations. So now, as an adult, I'm insanely suspicious, and at the same time, worried of people complimenting me or congratulating me for anything I do. My parents won't ever address anything specifically. They just say we did the best we could with what we had at the time, but they really didn't. But because they are giving that blanket answer that allows room for mistakes but not responsibility, we can't ever talk about it. And sometimes they just flat out lie and reinvent history from my childhood and teenage years to make themselves look better. Sometimes I feel like they really believe their own rewrites. Wabooba dooba doo yabbery meow meow, yeeha meow. Well done. You made it to this part of the video. You have been blessed by eternal good luck by the cat of planet Zorg. Subscribe, comment and like below to activate your blessings. Happy life human. Meow out.